Well, last Friday, the Constitutional Court reserved its ruling on the Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa's urgent court application to postpone the upcoming October local government elections. The Electoral Commission based its application on the recommendations of Justice Dikgang Moseneke's report, which found that under COVID-19 conditions, the municipal elections would not be free and fair if they were held in October. Meanwhile, registered political parties and independent candidates have until 5 o'clock today to submit their candidates' nomination details and make a deposit payment to participate in the elections. The Electoral Commission will then have until Friday, the 27th of August, to notify all political parties and independent candidates of non-compliance in respect of documents. The final list of candidates will be certified and published on the 7th of September 2021. To get more details, we chat now to the Independent Electoral Commission's Chief Electoral Officer, Sai Mamabolo. Sai, great to have you. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good morning, Leanne, and greetings to all your viewers.
Obviously, this awaiting the Constitutional Court ruling has put a little bit of a hamper on the IEC's local government election timetable, including, of course, publishing the final candidates list on the 7th of September. How? What has happened now, I mean, in terms of some of the delays that will be taking place because of this reserved judgment?
Well, ordinarily, today would have been a day of celebrating our electoral democratic processes, wherein people who believe that they have the requisite leadership skills were supposed to be submitting their candidate list with their nominations, independent candidates, raising their hands and so on. So this year we do that against the specter of COVID-19, where there's still high levels of infections in society, where there's still relatively high levels of mortality. But a bigger question for us today is whether the ConCourt's, having had argument on Friday, will necessarily see the case in the same manner we do, and grant us a deferment so as to allow political parties enough opportunity to finalize their list of candidates, to give every South African who may not be registered an opportunity to register by way of a registration weekend. But we've got to be a law-abiding institution. We've got to deal with the reality that an election has been proclaimed. And to the extent that an election has been proclaimed, we have to run the nomination process today, and indeed we are doing so. Just to give you a glimpse of what the activity had been until Saturday, this past Saturday, we have 26,000 candidates captured already. We have 97 parties that have already captured their details, and we have 353 independent candidates who have submitted their details. Our expectation is that we're looking at about between 60,000 to 70,000 candidates in total. So we anticipate an activity we're anticipating a nomination activity giving us a total of between 60,000 and 70,000 by the end of the day today.
Okay. So let's talk through the process now, because I mean this is unprecedented territory. We've never been here as a country, and you've never been here as an IEC, and neither has any political party or independent candidate been here. So I suppose this is all a first for everybody. So when we look at, obviously today is the deadline, and all deposits have to be paid if you are wanting to take part. So if they do pay, they are going to be on that ballot paper. We know the date has been gazetted for October. However, the idea is to now, if the Constitutional Court believes it should move, it will go to February next year. What happens then? Will there be another submission if the date is changed for more people to register, or is this it full stop? That this now, whoever is in today will participate, whether the elections are held in October or in February? Will it just be the same?
there are two possibilities. One, if we do not succeed in our application before the Constitutional Court, then today is the final deadline. Whoever had not complied, or rather whoever has not submitted by the evening today, will not be on the ballot paper. However, in the event we are successful before the Constitutional Court, then a new timetable would have to be issued in those circumstances, and a new cut-off date for candidates would have to be set in terms of that new timetable.
Mm-hmm. Could a political party ask for a refund if need be? If, say, the political timetable changes, they need that money. Could they get a refund and then pay at a later stage?
No, not at all. Not at all. A refund is only competent in the instance where the party has won at least a seat in the council in which they were contesting. Then it's a post-election refund. In those circumstances, it will be given back to the party in the normal process.
In terms of a breakdown in funds so far that have been paid through, and perhaps you can also just talk us through what it is that these fees are used for from the IEC side.
Look, perhaps before we get to that, Leanne, let's look at what the theory is behind an election deposit. It is intended to avoid frivolity in the electoral contest. In other words, people who wish to be on the ballot just for the fun of it, without ever having a sincere opportunity to contest an election. Theirs is just to play the system, as it were. So it is meant to avoid a frivolity. Yet at the same time, it is so low that it's not a bar to people vindicating their constitutional rights. So in other words, it's not an hindrance to people who genuinely want to participate in the election. It is 3,500 to contest a metro, and 2,000 rands to contest a local council, 1,000 rands to contest a district council, and 1,000 rands to contest a ward. This has not changed actually from 2016, which means it has reduced in real terms if one takes into account the impact of inflation. It is precisely because it has to be so low as to allow those who have a genuine desire to participate in the election, whilst at the same time avoiding frivolity in the contest.
So how much have you collected so far, just as a matter of interest, in terms of the fees?
We've not looked. Looked as yet. We will be in a position to give an indication sometime in the week.
Interesting now that the political party funding system allows parties and donors to actually capture and declare their donations. So what will be the processes that they need to follow to when it comes to submitting proof of donations received as part of their registering of candidates?
Yes, every quarter it is incumbent upon the accounting officer of a political party to ensure that all donations above 100,000 rands that the party received are disclosed to the Electoral Commission. And before the end of this month of August, the Commission will be in a position to give a report of the declarations made to itself by all political parties. So, touch wood, within the next week, the Commission will be coming to the country to give a report of the donations that were made in the first quarter of the year.
A very important question. I mean, there are so many municipalities around the country that deal with a lack of basic service delivery, that deal with corruption, that deal with maladministration. My question to you is the candidate verification process the sole responsibility of a political party, or does the IEC, in its own processes, follow something before publishing the final list in September. I mean, according to the IEC's rules, what circumstances can actually lead to a candidate being taken off the roll or just not eligible to stand for election?
The IEC verifies the legal requirements. In other words, the standard against which we verify is the legal standard. And we know that a person who has been convicted without to 2 years, to more than 24 months without an option of a fine, such a person cannot hold office. They can't be a councillor in a municipal council. And then there are election-related legal requirements. A person has to be registered in the municipality in which they contest. They ought to have signed an acceptance of nomination. So those are the legal requirements. Okay. It does not speak to the capacity and quality of the person. That it's a matter that is left to the party to determine.
Right.
And ultimately, it's a matter that is left to the voter to decide whether they think a person who's an independent or who is a party representative have the capacity to lead the municipality in a manner that reaffirms the delivery of services and all other related things we require out of a competent leader.
Sai, very quickly, quick answer. If, in fact, the elections do go ahead in October, are you as the IEC ready? I know that the registration weekend didn't go ahead. There was a lot of things outstanding. But if it is said that elections cannot be moved, need to happen in October, will you be ready to go ahead?
Let's put it this way. We will be ready to do an election on the 27th, as proclaimed. There will be issues around the qualitative aspects of that election insofar as they relate to the registration of voters and certainly the opportunity that parties had to select their candidate process. So in other words, technically on the 27th, we'll be open a voting station, we'll have trained our staff, there will be ballot papers, and so on and so on. So all the logistical and technical arrangements around election, we've been working at them. We will be ready on the 27th.
All right,
but the question is whether that will be free and fair.
Absolutely, that's the question that remains to be seen, and we wait on that judgment from the Constitutional Court. Sai Mamabolo, thank you very, very much for talking to us. That's the IEC's Chief Electoral Officer talking to us about today's deadline for registered political parties and independent candidates to submit their lists to participate in this year's local government elections. Let's take a quick break. News at 7 after this.